Hello, hi, and I'm on to another discussion of my workaholic, shopaholic, sexaholic theme. And workaholic, as I said, I've been inspired by Michio Kaku. But before that, I have an aside. It's not a relevant aside, but I'd like to say, because this is a video I'm making for all those graduates, whom I have learned through various sources, sort of feedback from various sources, graduates of the Department of Chemical Engineering and Applied Chemistry in the University of Toronto. Obviously, I'm, the past alumni, U of T alumni, they haven't found jobs. So this is to pet them up, all right? But I must say that the predicament I'm in is, a lot of work, a lot of hard work. And, I have a song which comes in the end, which describes my predicament, and in three different areas, and not to mention videos, and so that should not be their lot in life. To use an old-fashioned expression, lot in life. So I am hoping to seduce my husband. Although the Blue Jays game is on this Friday and Saturday, yay, 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 right? I mean, they made it to the World Series, and so he pays off my credit card. All right, and I must mention that my credit card has been illegally used, so it's been blocked. So quite a huge amount. All right, $4,500. So I'm hoping. And last Christmas, the man in my life, paid about $3,000. Needed a lot of convincing. Was not pleased. All right, he is the man in my life, and so I thought. And usually with my husband, so ever since my cesarean section. Before that, it was all really completely the inner exploration of my feminine insights with inner vagina, so that sort of thing, and not to mention a bit of minimal work on the upper body, the boobs. But after my son, and a few asides in my own life, sort of with a few good men, he's begun to sort of resort to, well, the Clinton thing, blowjobs. Bill Clinton, preferred blowjobs to honest old-fashioned sex. So this time I have planned. I'm gonna get condoms, whichever it is, all right, either Trojan or bare naked or both, and then pan him both and say, babe, you have to pay off my credit card. But my nerve fails me at the right moment because my husband, is he is the romantic sort. He plans all these exotic vacations. We do things all the time, and less of hiking would be good on my agenda. More of sexual intercourse, a lot of romance. I like writing. I like my space. And so does he. He likes going off on walks and that sort of thing. So so I'm going to hand him that and say, get down to business. All right, I'm not going to suck your dick anymore with the condom. That's the message. Am I going to save so much? No, I don't think so. So all these mothers of sons who are getting worried, this is not going to happen. So, but some of it I have to get it out. All right, so I'm going to. And would you believe it? Shoppers does not have condoms. I thought I would buy a MacBook, a laptop, Maya 3D software, but Maya 3D software student version is not sold in the U of T bookstore. And I just wanted to see if the U of T bookstore has condoms. Because Barack Obama, back in his day as president, had this whole policy. Pregnancies are prevented, untimely pregnancies during exam time and that sort of thing. The stress, you could resort to, a little too much of tomfoolery in the, in the sort of, feminine areas, and likewise the man, and you could get pregnant. So they should sell condoms. I have to go all the way to Walmart? Can you believe this? Shoppers does not. Maybe I'm going to resort to Circle K. All right, but this is it. This is the relevant aside. And the ladies who not yet found work, find your partners and get some square dancing going. All right. So that being said, all to business. Michio Kaku. And completely. This I have quantum supremacy. And which portion did I look at? Feynman's path integral. Before that, Newton's um, Newton's okay, he introduced calculus, least action, the path of least action, which is equal to the kinetic energy minus potential energy. This is what I looked at. And I Feynman's path integral is a section. And then I looked at Feynman's path integral and quantum sum over paths, etc. So coming back, all right, so serious work. People who are listening to this, would I ever subject you to nothing less than quality chemical engineering and related areas? Right? You have to have some kind of confidence in me because I work hard. Working hard pays off. Okay. So so sorry for the aside, not relevant, but sort of relevant to the ladies. They can, if 31, getting on to 31, can have a child, then once the child is in daycare, can start work. But then there's a gap in your resume. So you'll have to keep working papers, etc. Keep on the good books, in the good books of your professors. All right, Newton's path of least action. Least action is equal to kinetic energy minus potential energy. So this all adds up. If you read, it's like, complicated physics. Potential energy is mass multiplied by acceleration due to gravity multiplied by height from which so if potential energy is high, height is equal to highest, then it is the path of least action because P is large. So least action is equal to Ke minus P. P is large. So that's the lowest. So the lower the height, the larger the path of action, path of least action. Or at Feynman. What did Feynman say? Feynman said E is equal to h nu. We all know that. H F multiplied by frequency. All right, and then the Einsteinian equation, Feynman didn't say that, but E equals h nu, E equals mc square. So if an electron orbiting the nucleus is considered, that's my own thought, because it's related to the quantum subatomic particles. So least action would be mc square minus h nu. So higher the frequency, the electron traces a path of least action. So all these come in, the good old Balmer, Fraunhofer lines, etc. So I sort of, mistakenly took it to the latest Nobel laureates in physics 2025's discovery, and I will name them. But they did it for electric circuits. The Nobel Prize in Physics 2025 was awarded jointly to John Clark, Michael H. Devoret, and John M. Martinez for the discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in an electric circuit. So we will, so it means that it penetrates through impenetrable barriers, which means that, if you see my LinkedIn webpage, I still have electronics kit where I generated certain wavelengths through clever circuit connections. All right, so this was a really good electronic circuit. It cost me $120 or something, free shipping, so came for $100 only. All right, so the price may have shot up now. So you could make lasers. So laser, I've even toyed with the idea of lugging bricks from Rona, from Home Depot, and Rona had it really cheap, $2 for but one lugging, one real solid brick would have been hard. So so the best thing would be to kind of in the path. But is the laser going to weaken in strength? So it cuts the brick. So build a wall, just build a wall, cuts through the brick. This is an ongoing thing. It's a circuit, right? It's not something you can shut off with a switch or you can disconnect. Of course, you can disconnect once the thing breaks. But how fast is the laser moving? So there's a path there. My husband's car, our car, it's gonna cut through the car, and that's the end of it. I would never hear the end of it. Although our car needs to be replaced. It's as old as my son. My son turns 27 on the 1st of November, 2025. All right, so if quantum particles, so this was what impenetrable barrier. This was what that was said in in the newspaper Globe and Mail. So they burrow a tunnel to cross it in an electric circuit by energy quantization. That is what I gathered. All right. So in a way, quantum particles are all electrons. Electrons take part in reactions, chemical reactions, right? So if cupric copper, is 2 plus I2 do not react, for it is not cuprous iodide, but cupric diiodide, cupric iodide, or not cuprous iodide, an electrovalent bond, if it were to face an impenetrable barrier and ends up making an impossible bond, a covalent bond, then these people's, but this should be in an electric circuit though. So the generating of electrons from the copper ions could be from a copper iodine, what's the term called? The battery cell. So that could work, I suppose. So impenetrable barrier, so it's going to make a covalent bond. It's impossible, but hey, this is what the physics Nobel laureate said. All right, so electric circuit, I urge you to try this in the confines of a university lab in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Applied Chemistry, and see if the battery cell works. It should work because the proof says it works. And last bit of chemical engineering, Reynolds number, whisk versus egg beater. Excuse me. And the Reynolds number is dV rho by mu, diameter, velocity, density by viscosity, and diameter is 2r. So for a round, so egg beater versus whisk, right? So a round cake mixing dish, mixing dish, you have omega equals V by R. So R goes out, right? Omega V is equal to omega. No, R does not go out. V is equal to R omega. So it becomes R square actually. 2R square rho by mu. 2R square. Omega is cycles, right? Cycles per second. That's what it is. And so, or omega, I can substitute omega here. Or can I? V by R. And this would give the right value. So stir 2001, slowly, whisk, slow, fast. So egg beater, you can't match an egg beater speed, right? I mean, per second, 2 cycles per second, or two turns. And that's at the lowest setting. So at the highest setting, it goes even faster. And there are 2 of those things. So that's laminar versus turbulent. Turbulent makes a turbulence created in the fluid mass helps a cake become better. Laminar flow is not quite good. So that's what I want you to think about, and that is it. So I'm going to come up with a shopaholic portion for the ladies. This is for the ladies. That's for the men. Where men, you have to strive to be better. You're going to be the breadwinners. I know feminism has caught on. Life's come to a different set of values. The women work as hard, etc. Equal work for equal pay, etc. But once you have children, it's hard. So you have to raise them right, look after them. So maybe you work a little less. Tell the boss, but my boss didn't accept it. All right, she said, there's another person with a child, female boss, and Civil was equally bad. My child had a cough and cold, and I'd even taken him to the doctor, and he said that you have to report back to work ASAP tomorrow. Today I'm letting you off. So nobody is going to be let you off lightly, but then you could come back a little earlier because my husband kept long hours, and so what do you have to say? Men have to work harder. Men have to work harder. As engineers. Women can take it easy. They can get married, have a child, and then choose to work. So they also work as hard once the child is a little older. Or women will not shirk work. Neither will men. All right. So this is the poem for women, chemical engineers out there who haven't found work. This could light up the heartbeat, quicken the heartbeat in an employer. All right. But don't try it even during an interview. Interview, you answer their questions. Trust me, I have made it past interviews. A poem, guys, to be Sitaram. Dalton came up with atomic theory, and life was not any more dreary. Lavoisier discovered oxygen and its reactivity, and within his opposite sex, increased his marketability. Cavendish said water has hydrogen, and with this sort of discovery, our R&D team of fine scientists and me as the lone chemical engineer had the good life in Iogen. Iogen Corporation applied to it. It's in Ottawa. It's a biotechnology company. Moving on, poem. Mendeleev documented all the data he had on chemical elements in his periodic table, and this had me think that my first kiss should have been with him or with Clark Gable. Watson with Crick came up with his double helical structure of DNA, and that made me think he had TNT dynamite. All right, that's the AC/DC song. Next stanza, love an engineer. Pardon me, a chemical engineer. And you have a life in full gear. First gear begins after the ignition with the slow release of the clutch, which is the sealing of the pact of the love match. And this takes you to all the gears. Love your husband all your life, and you are the chosen wife. If in between you choose to linger over certain men's finer qualities, you enjoy their agreeabilities. Amen. So that was my poem for the ladies. These two are my good luck um, presents because I made handmade bookmarks for my professors. Well, I have to go through the chair, right? Show him that everything is appropriate, acceptable within the university guidelines. So wrote out 3 cards, and so I'm sending Professor the chair, and then Professor Allen, who has all my research. Few are with Professor Farnood the chair, and Brad Sewell, my supervisor through graduate school, both my degrees, a course professor, and my supervisor through my 18-month research project in the same department at U. So that is what I'm sending. So you know. All right, now I'm going to go on. And before I continue, maybe next portion. All right, I'm going to save this for the next portion. This would have been a wonderful song with rock beat, but Chet Baker does the trick really well. Not a penny to my name, not a farthing to my fame, not a rupee to my wallet. This is how my story goes. I buried my fate. I make a date with my husband, who is my mate. This could be a gate. Work, I say, for a way of life, no better than that of a wife. Work, I say, for a way of an engineer, writer, artist, no better than that of a doer, singer, dancer, storyteller, essayist, lyricist. Doo-bop, dee-dee-dee, doo-bop, y'all. Doo-bop, dee-dee-dee, doo-bop, y'all. Give a big hand of applause to Chet Baker. Thank you.